a test. This is a test to see if we can get the Skype working today. Anyone wants to tune in and just come on, check us out, see what's going on here, and then we'll discuss whatever's on your mind, talk a little bit today. Why is my volume so low here today? It seems strangely low. Okay, all right, maybe I'm just talking too low for once. That's unusual for me. Strange. Right, okay, so let me go and see if I'm actually online. It says I am, and see what's coming up here. Your channel. Right, so this is a test session, just an unannounced test session to, there we go. There's two folks watching. All right, maybe I'm just talking too low for once. That's unusual for me. All right, Andre. Hey, good to see you there, Andre Prince. Welcome aboard. Yeah, so good afternoon in South Africa, Botswana, and also Namibia at this hour. And good morning here on the East Coast of the United States. This is Chris in Indaba, Africa. And I am just online to test out. Hey, Kyle, test out. If one of you guys want to call in on testing, it's good, but Pete, want to call in on Skype. My Skype is wmwchris@yahoo.com. I'm going to head and sign in the chat so that I can give you guys that real quick if someone wants to call in. I ask that you text me first. Don't everybody just start calling if anyone wants to call. So Skype, okay, SKYP, username equals. Okay, there we go. All right, volume. Yeah, the volume is low. What's going on with that, I think? All right, let me crank it up a little bit. Okay, I haven't touched anything. The only thing is, maybe Skype messed with it. So that's the gain pattern. There's the volume. Okay, all right. So is that better? No. About that. Is that better? No, here. That's odd. Yeah, I am very low this morning. Let's see. How's that? That's better. That's hard to tell if this is even working. There we go. All right. Okay, so yeah, that's fine if you can't call Punisher. No worries. Yeah, volume is low. I don't get why it's so low. Let me see what the deal is here. That's odd. Huh. Very strange today. Don't know why that would be. But anyway, yeah, so let me put the gain up a little bit. Maybe that'll help. Yeah. All right. Maybe here, this is the problem. Let me do this here. I know what it might be. Right. Okay. So, all right. So, yeah, we've got 14 people tuning in. All right, folks. This is a test session. I'm just trying to make sure that the folks can hear me. Gosh, look at those bags under the eyes. Woo! I'm going to need some of that Hollywood Botox here before too long. Anyway, there's William, Drian. Hey, can somebody, not much variation. Okay, what's that say? Sent you a WhatsApp. Okay, Andre sent me a WhatsApp. Just now, Andre, or recently? Let me see. Okay, so why is that? Okay. Oh, I see what's going on. I've got my browser hiding in the background, being difficult. There we go. Now I can see the chat much better. Okay, anyway, so yeah. Nobody wants to call in. Everybody's got shy on me here. All right, I need somebody who's willing to call in. Let me see what he was saying about the WhatsApp here. Okay. Yeah, Andre, you can call me right now. Go ahead, that's fine. Just call. You don't have to send a text. Okay. Call in, and then we'll try to get you on. Okay. Wow, your volume's up all the way. That's strange. Why is this is working perfectly fine last night? So I don't get it at all. That's strange. Well, let me just talk right in the microphone. Is that better if I do that? That's got to be a little bit better. But then I don't have the pop. All right, there's Andre. Hang on. Oh, this is Yanni. Okay. Well, Andre, you're going to have to hold off. You took too long, man. Okay. I got Yanni calling in now, so please be patient. Hey, Yanni.
How's it going?
It's going great. I can hear you. Can you hear me fine?
Yes, I can hear you fine. I started my video as well. You should see my video come through.
It just came through. Oh my goodness, man! You look like you. I thought I looked like Hagrid. No, you're looking like Hagrid this morning. Okay, folks, I've got Yanni. I'm going to bring him into the stream here in just a second, and then we're going to make sure this actually works, and then my profound embarrassment can end. Okay.
Oh.
What's wrong?
Yeah, no stress. I can hear you just fine.
Oh, okay. All right. There we go. Okay. Oh my goodness, it looks like I might actually have this. There you
I just
go.
don't see your video in my Skype,
No, you won't because
but
my camera
yeah,
is using it, so that's why you won't be able to see it. So,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right, I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller here. Okay, you got a green screen today. Can you put something in the back so it looks sexier? It looks like you got limes hanging behind you.
Yeah, I don't have my OBS running, so then
No,
I can put
that's
something
okay.
on my green screen.
I'm just teasing. All right, well, Yanni, hey,
Yeah.
it looks like we're on. Can you folks hear Yanni online? Olaf says test, test. That's funny. Um,
Yeah, I can see all good.
Oh, Andre says I'm unavailable. That might be because I haven't got a text from him. You've got to send me a text and I can accept you. You can't just send a call. I think that's probably the problem for Andre. Okay, well, great, Yanni. Hey, thanks for calling in, man. I really appreciate you. You've been such a loyal and dedicated viewer of my stream so far and of my channel. Thanks a lot. So, what do you think of the content?
Yeah, it's good. I'm really enjoying it. It's good to have a outsider's perspective on something from South Africa because it's almost like just not biased. So that is interesting, and in general, your knowledge is just so so widespread with topics of of everything, not just around South Africa, but a little bit outside of South Africa. So just found that really interesting. It's always interesting to listen to your calls and weigh in. So yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, Yanni. I really appreciate it. I'm trying here. You've been following for a while, so you probably know the deal. And I think most people who are on here right now for this test session know that for a long time, I didn't do much with my channel because I was a serving officer, and it just was, in my view, kind of out of bounds, and I didn't want to get in any trouble. Plus, so I just kind of stayed off of it. Then once retired from active service, kind of free and able to do what I wanted to do. And so I wanted to get this channel going for my consultancy. But then because of lockdown, I know a lot of people are home and can't do anything, can't go anywhere, and it wears down on people's psyche. So I figured I'd try this and see it. It seems to be gaining some popularity, so it's kind of cool. Although I'm trying to decide what to do about my Pete Retief look. I'm looking my age now, and I'm not used to looking my age. I've always looked younger than my age, but it seems to be running about 75% say to leave the beard and not cut it off.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to cut it all the way. Just trim it. I mean, if you don't want the big beard, then just give it a trim and go from there.
Yeah, no, I thought maybe I'd go to just the Van Gogh, cut it back to a Van Gogh and get rid of the stuff on the side at some point. But anyway, it's becoming a bit of a running joke now. So anyway, I was last night as I was trying to find. Oh, so there's two things I've done here, folks, since I got Yanni on here. I told Yanni already. I sent him a message. What I did is I'm not running over Wi-Fi any longer. I'm running over LAN cable now. I got tired of that. I think the problem is my Wi-Fi router, not the service, but the router. It's a bit old now, and it's probably why my feed was getting cut. So what I've done is I've got a 100-foot LAN cable. I've run it to the back of my PC to the actual cable box. And so hopefully that will stop the cuts in the streams because I know that's very irritating for people. And if I wasn't sure, I certainly know it because because you go from 97 people watching the program to 35, people couldn't find her. They just gave up. So hopefully this will stop that nonsense. And yeah, so that should take care of that. But I was rifling through some things last night, and I'm always getting not harassed, but chided by the people in the Pretoria area because they want the Bulls. And so some people may recognize this CD. There you go. You see that all right? All right, so I got that thing up. That's the Bulls music right there. And yeah, and then this also had this. I guess if you have like baby on board sort of thing, this is from the Sharks. I picked that up at Kings Point one time, so that's kind of cute. Anyway, hey Yanni, so how are things for you there? What's going on?
It's good. The work from home is still the normal thing here for us. Luckily, in my role, I'm in IT, so I look after IT architecture essentially, and strategy. So in the mining industry, so I'm able to do my work from home. We are able to collaborate with everybody around the globe for the company that I work for. So it's been very forgiving in that sense, and there's no rush for us to go back to work. I mean, even with the level 3 regulations now, they still giving us the opportunity to work from home and not have to come into the office and still, just practice that social distancing. So, I've been quite lucky. My wife is in a different situation. Her being a hairstylist, that's that personal service. They're not in the green as yet, so they still need to need to wait it out, I suppose. But yeah, it's been good in general. I think we've been luckier than most from a lockdown perspective. I mean, income wise, etc. So can't complain.
Yeah, no, I got you. It's a lot of folks that aren't fortunate enough to have a situation where they've got a revenue stream. I'm sort of the same way. I'm okay in that respect, and really don't need a lot of things. But you really got to feel for people out there who are on lockdown and can't work, those that lost their job, that sort of thing. And you mentioned the hairstylist. It comes to mind, yeah, because So I think about I can't get to my barber.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
And it being at personal service, you are very close
yeah.
into someone's personal space. You can't be avoided. It is what it is. So
And the thing about that too is
yeah,
that I'm not so sure how it is in South Africa. I know in a few places because I got my hair done or cut there on a few occasions in South Africa. But yeah, you're smiling now. I think you just saw me waving my hair.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm happy to.
compete.
You've seen how long my hair is.
Yeah,
It's proper.
there you go. No, but one of the things here in the U.S. is not most, but an awful lot of hairdressers and salons and things like that. These are women-owned businesses. They're owned by women, and this has been
Yeah,
especially brewed on women. So I guarantee you that when this nonsense is over, if such a thing ever happens, that we're going to hear a lot of whining by the political left about how unfair it is that women don't have businesses, and they're going to forget that they crushed a lot of women's businesses and business owners, put them out of business with their draconian, over-the-top, hysterical lockdown procedures. At least that's my view on it. So,
yeah, agreed. And I mean, in some cases as well, for a lot of these people, they are the main breadwinners in certain families. So that's equally bad, I suppose. Because on the one side, yes, it might be for female owned, etc., which is for the most part true. But you also, you are an employer of two or three other households in a way, or even individuals, which means that respective household. So that knock on is I think also not realized always. So
yeah, no, I'm with you on that 100%. That's the thing that's bothered me about this from the outset is I think for those who've watched my videos or follow me on LinkedIn, from the outset, the moment they declared a lockdown, my first thing I point out was small and medium-sized enterprises and the informal sector. Because it affects a lot of people. And the response in Africa to the informal sector has been abysmal, in my view, in every single country. Neighboring Botswana, which really has its act together on most things, set aside now I'm not a fan of government assistance, but when the government forces your business to shut down, that's not exactly a subsidy in my book. That's the government compensating you because they've made it impossible for you to conduct commerce. But they set aside 10 million pula. I mean, it's not even $1 million US for the informal sector.
yeah.
That's crazy. Who's that going to help? Not many people.
Yeah, and then that added challenge around, who's allowed to, claim for some of that relief aid and whatever, and who isn't, the stuff that's been in the news around initially it was the tourism sector, I think. So,
Yeah.
that knock on is just, it's just the same across all of those industries. So everybody's feeling it. I mean, all of these little smaller, medium entities, like you're saying, restaurants, family-owned businesses, whatever, it's taking a huge, huge knock. Um, you know, it's sad. I mean, I think this 21, 28-day lockdown is where it should have stopped, right? We should have started returning back with very strict, back to normal restrictions, a month ago already, and I think it would have looked a lot different because just this 1 month is make or break for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And every month after that is going to be make or break. That curve, if I can call it that, I mean, is very negative.
No, absolutely. And what gets lost is that this problem with small and medium enterprises, it's not just in South Africa. Of course, there they have the issues with the Tourism Relief Fund and race, and also with the funds, the money Rupert and others set aside, which is supposed to go to everyone. But in practice, I know several minority business owners who've been either ignored or denied funds from those things, and they applied from the outset. So there's all sorts of shenanigans going on there. But even in a place like the U.S., we've got the money that's set aside in the trillions of dollars of relief packages. And the woman who was in Dallas, Texas, who owned that beauty salon a couple weeks ago that was arrested and thrown in jail by this jackass of a judge, who, by the way, has been suspended by a judicial board for his conduct since then. Bear in mind that what happened in Dallas is they cleaned the prisons of a few thousand people, many of them convicted in jail for a good reason, cleared them out of the jails and let them go so they would be safe from COVID-19. And then this woman reopens her business 4 days before the governor changed the date. don't know why she did it, but anyway, she followed all of the guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control and the National Institutes for Health and the Texas Public Health Department. So they did a video of her shop open. That's what led to her arrest, I believe. And you saw her customers lined up on the street, on the sidewalk, maintaining 6 feet of distance. She's outside checking the temperature of every person comes in. She's got personal protective equipment for all the people who work for her. And she gets arrested because she violated the curfew or violated the lockdown by reopening her business. She went before the judge, and the judge said, "You're selfish, you're greedy, and you need to apologize for being so selfish." And she said, "You don't understand. I receive money for my business. I'm just getting it from the federal government because I own a business, so I'm getting some help there. But this is about feeding my children. I don't have money for them, not about my business. And it's also because all my hairstylists, they're not my employees. They're contract workers, and contract workers don't qualify for the relief from the government." So she had people working for her hairstylists who were not eating for 2 days so they could feed their children. And then this judge throws her in jail. So that nonsense is pervaded across the world with these bizarre outcomes by governments that don't know what they're doing. Sean, in the comments here a few minutes ago, said, if you think about it, beauty stylists, hairdressers, and folks like that, they get amongst the most serious hygiene training and are most adept on how to clean things. You know what? It's like my barber. My barber has one of the cleanest places you're going to find. The only time it's dirty is when there's hair on the floor, and it's cleaned up right away.
Yeah, and I wanted to comment that I saw Sean Volsking's a comment around that, and even before we went into lockdown, that
Oops, I lost
the regulations. Did you lose my audio?
No, it just dropped for a second. It must have been a couple data packets, but you're there. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, good. So even like the 2 weeks before lockdown, my wife, in the salon, they implemented stricter measures around, cleaning. And like you say, they are already very hygienic in their way of work, with disinfecting everything in between. But they were extra protective, like, wiping down the seats with alcohol, disinfectant, etc. Everything was just stepped up. That is definitely, like, I agree with what Sean's saying. It's sometimes safer. It might be safer than going and buying food somewhere where people touch the food, put it back on the shelf, or whatever the case may be, as to go to your hairstylist. So.
No, absolutely. In fact, one of the big problems we've had historically here in the U.S. is we import a lot of our fresh fruits from Latin America, and periodically we get outbreaks of hepatitis that occur because of the hepatitis on the fruits that are brought into the country because they're not cleaned properly. So yeah, going to your Checkers or your Pick and Pay is probably more dangerous than going to your barber.
Yeah, and I mean, we see that often. This morning, we quickly stepped out, the wife and myself, to just go to the shop and pick up some groceries for the next couple of days, like 7 to 10 days or whatever. And I didn't notice it at first, but we walked in and somebody walked past us without a mask, and everybody else was wearing a mask, and my wife picked it up, and it was like, I didn't even notice that. But why? I don't know what the situation was, but I mean, why would somebody still, where we know, you're trying to avoid either getting it or spreading it, why would somebody be walking around like that? And that for me is just that case of where you're going into a shopping area, we might take all the necessary precautions that we can, and we know that we are, clean, hygienic, whatever, but you go to the shop, you touch something, you're like, oh no, I don't want this one, I want that one, or something. Somebody else has touched it. That's very risky. It's scary. I mean, this is going to be the new normal for the next couple of months, or hopefully not years, but I mean, certainly the next couple of months, because it's not a case of that we are not going to get infected at some point. I think we are. Everybody is, or the large majority is. It's just a case of how long can we delay this, to try and get it, or to try and not get it. Because I think in the end, with it being like a lung type of infection or whatever, you do have a bit of a disadvantage in the long run, because your lungs does take some damage though, right? So I mean, it is not good for you. You're not going to recover from that, I suppose, over a longer time. So it's just weird that you would still sometimes see somebody with blatant ignorance for the law in that case.
Well, yeah, that'd be circumstance specific. Excuse me. Yeah, we're required to wear masks to walk into a place of business here in Pennsylvania. That's part of the lockdown requirement, and without getting into the efficacy of masks and the usefulness of them, when I'm not in a business, I maintain my distance and I don't wear a mask. But I maintain my distance. But as I approach some place where there's a congregation of people where I'm not going to be able to maintain my distance, even I'll put the mask on just out of consideration for other people. But but the problem here, of course, is that the government doesn't seem to know what it's talking about. It constantly gets everything wrong, from the fatality rate to the WHO and the Chinese government telling us you can't transmit it from human to human back in January. They're just all over the place, and that's understandable. I'll give them a pass. But then they come back as if they're the authoritarian. They know everything, and we know nothing. We must do exactly what they tell us. But they told us not to use masks in January and February here in the U.S., that the efficacy's not there, that it won't help anybody. My argument back then was that I knew there would be a shortage of these things because, like anything else, there'd be a run on, just like toilet paper for no reason and hand sanitizer with better reason. But I figured there'd be a run on masks and PPE. So what I told people, I said, listen, those things really are most needed by first responders, medical personnel, law enforcement, people in direct contact with the public, to protect the public from them in case one of them has been infected, and also to protect them, up close and personal. So I didn't rush out and buy any of that stuff, even though I've been accused of being a prepper because I got a basement full of everything else. But I didn't buy that stuff because my concern was that the people that really needed it should get it. Anyway, but we didn't buy it. And then, of course, the Chinese, lying to everyone, went and sucked all the stuff up from around the world. So we shipped, container loads of PPE from the U.S. to help the Chinese out in late December and January. And they were covering this stuff up only for us to not have any when we needed it. So kind of frustrating.
Yeah, and that's interesting though, because even in South Africa, the same thing happens. I mean, running up to that, we couldn't get a lot of PPE, and we started having the issues where people were charging ridiculous prices for something that would usually cost, I don't know, 10 to 15 rand, would all of a sudden now cost you, 45 to 50 rand, three, four, 5 times the price. And within the first couple of weeks, because of that shortage and because of that big unknown around what's going to happen, a lot of our medical, let's just call it the medical industry, actually, admitted that they have a shortage in some of this PPE equipment, but not for their doctors. It's just for the general staff. So now you're sitting with a situation whereas there is, janitors and receptionists and whatever that's working in an hospital that would normally not wear excessive PPE, that now also needs to start digging into that PPE. So this was a good opportunity for the 3D printing community to step up, because in the first 2 or 3 weeks in lockdown, were a couple of 3D printing enthusiasts around South Africa that latched onto that global movement of obviously using 3D printing in aid of COVID-19, and we started printing and donating masks to a lot of the medical institutions, if I can call that, around whichever area we were in. I mean, me being in Gauteng, we had Netcare 911, we had Search and Rescue, a couple of guys that we were donating masks for, and I think within that 3 weeks, we donated probably over 5,000 masks. Now, it's not a lot, but I mean, it's 5,000 reusable masks. And let me show you what it looks like real quick. I have one here.
I nearly bought that chair that you have there a couple of times.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
Comfortable.
Very, very nice. So this is the mask. It's got a reusable
filter
in the front, so you can cut up normal A95 or P100 or whatever style filters, but that filter clicks into the front, and this mask fits as normal. And I mean, it's reusable. You can clean it, wash it, whatever, disinfect it with whatever you need, and you just replace that filter. Now, that filter is small enough that you could almost cut up probably a normal surgical mask into 3 or 4 times use onto that filter. So that was very convenient, because we hopefully allowed a couple of people to avoid getting COVID-19, because they at least now had a reusable mask that they would normally not have access to for free.
Sure. Well, what I like about that, Yanni, is that you're probably seeing it there if you're out and about, but I'm seeing it here. You got a dog back there behind you?
Yeah. Yeah, do you hear my dog? She came walking in.
No, I saw the nose pop up. I was like, that's not a human. Anyway, no, so what I like about it is that, or maybe you're seeing this, but I'm seeing it here, and just like anything else, people can be so useless. I'm finding masks just tossed on the parking lots and on city streets and stuff like that, refuse tossed about. With a reusable mask like that, that's not going to happen because they're going to have to physically take the piece off and replace the filter. So you're probably not going to have a situation where refuse is lying about as a consequence of that. That's another outcome of this. So that was all done with 3D printing, huh?
Yeah, 100%.
Brilliant.
And what happened is there were so many of these designs out there. I mean, there was different masks. I mean, some guys obviously made these masks look really scientific now and go all crazy. But this is a working concept that we had going with Netgear 911 or Netgear 911 in South Africa, whereby we printed a couple of different designs because this design is open source and available online. And so we didn't design this from scratch, but we had a couple of masks. We gave them the tests or test samples and said to them, go and test these masks, tell us which ones you want, and then we'll start, print to order essentially. Well, not print to order, we gave it away for free, but I mean, you started printing masks. Now, to put it into perspective, 3D printing works in filament. So let me show you what a roll of filament looks like. So it comes in a box of 1 kilogram or 2.2 pounds, whatever, of plastic spool, like very thick fishing line. That's a specific plastic material, and you feed that into your 3D printer, and we get, depending on how efficient your printer is, so if you have no load shedding or power outages or anything weird that would cause your prints to fail, you could probably get 13 to 14 masks out of a roll of filament. And a roll of filament runs anything from 200 to 400 Rand, depending on the type of material you use. So, 10, 15 US at the moment. So it's probably not the most cost-effective way to make something, but it was a very cool way to do and prototype a mask that I think now some of the guys have started converting this model into a moldable injection mold version or something. So I mean, something that can still be easily reproduced cheaper. But at the time, this was something that we had reach around the country, about 1,000 3D printing enthusiasts around South Africa. So it was a nice way to help out.
No, it's pretty cool. But I have to be honest with you, Yanni, whenever I see the one you've produced there, it's pretty cool, but I feel compelled to say, Luke, I'm your father.
You do get a couple of weird looks when you walk around when you walk around with it in town, but I mean, it's just because people weren't used to it. 2 months ago, you would still go shopping and people wouldn't wear masks. It really only became a requirement to wear masks, I think, when our lockdown was extended, or possibly, when we hit level 4. But, now there's all kinds of different colors and designs and shapes and things going out. But, I must admit, this one is quite comfortable. I kind of wear my masks like my hat. I choose a different hat every time I go out. I choose a different mask every time I go out, whatever I feel like on the day. So.
Oh, that's pretty cool. But, things change. Things we think will never happen, it become the norm. I mean, look, the Lions can actually win rugby games now. 10 years ago, they couldn't pull that off.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some hate mail for that one. But, all right, well, Yanni, listen, because Lynn would have been my first caller, but I had the epic fail. So you wind up being my first ever caller, even though it's a test session. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
really appreciate it. Please pass along the Reese. I'm really disappointed. I don't ever see her on my channel. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll chat with her. But we do watch your stream together because she has made comments that, people are saying you talk fast.
Yeah, I do.
And it's like, what? But it's not that fast really, because we actually follow it quite comfortably. But I also speak very fast.
Yes.
So, I mean, probably she's used to me, speaking fast already. But we love your channel. So she also watches when I watch because I put it up on the big screen. So she's always there.
All right. Well, no, I just give it a hard time because I didn't see the chat. Well, Yanni, I'm going to drop you off now, and I'm going to call Andre. So Andre, hang in there, and I'll call you in just a moment. Yanni, bye Donkey for being my first calling guest. I really appreciate it. Will you be able to watch the Saturday stream for Giselle, or does that interest you, or no?
Yeah, no, we love that. So we'll jump on the stream.
I'm going to try to trick her or convince her into singing a song or two. I don't know if I'll be successful, but I'm going to give it a shot.
We can try and chat, so that's fine. We can convince her to chat. Good stuff. Thanks very much, Chris.
All right, Yanni, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. All right,
cheers.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I'm going to call Andre now, and let's see what happens here. Well, that was fantastic. Oh, Lynn, you're still there. After I get Andre in, let me try to get. There's Andre. Can you hear me, Andre?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, now I've still got. I've got to take Yanni off the screen. He's got a dead screen there for Yanni's picture. Oh, it's gone. Let me bring you into the stream just a moment, Yanni. Sorry, or Andre. Excuse me. Sorry, Yanni. Sorry, Andre. Well, the host is falling down again. Okay, so hang just a second there. All right. Okay, let me go. There we go.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, brilliant. You're on the screen now. Let me just get you down to size where you're a little bit smaller. Okay, so Andre, where are you calling in from? What part of the country?
Cape Town, South Africa.
Okay. Well, I think we all know where Cape Town is at, but just teasing you. You know, it's not in Malawi. I thought that was in Malawi. No.
No, sometimes you wish, but no.
Yeah. Well, hello. Hey, Doug. How are you?
Very well, very well. We're heading into the start of the winter months. It's going to be cold, and so we're looking forward to some of it, making some fire and staying warm.
Well, I always get a kick at it when people in South Africa and Botswana talk about cold and wintertime. For me, it's a brisk walk in the park. You'll find me wearing shorts even in the deepest of winter in South Africa.
Yeah, no. Look, obviously, with the COVID and everything that's gone on, we had a lot of winter sales being available for clothing. I think it's just as a precautionary. But yeah, look, I think with the news yesterday, I do believe we're going to have a lot of new normals coming up. I do believe that we can expect an appeal to come through, but whether it's going to be successful or not, I don't think so. Also, there was a lot of fake news coming around last night around the smoking ban being lifted this Friday. I don't think it's going to happen.
No.
But so we'll have to see.
Yeah, no, I saw a lot of that fake news last night, and I think some people I caught Roman on Morning Shot cautioning people, and I came to the same conclusion. Very excited about the court case. It shows that institutions do function in South Africa in the face of all this totalitarian effort. They still function.
Yeah.
Of course, remember the North Gauteng High Court is I don't know if it was the same court, but the North Gauteng High Court is the one that said it was okay to discriminate against people racially with the Tourism Relief Fund. So not everything is a victory. But nonetheless, I still think it's encouraging. But I think that rather than pop the champagne cork bottle right now, or bottle cork right now, we should wait to see if the government comes back and what happens. But I do think it's a good sign that happened, and I hope that it works out. And the good news is that what really distresses me is the criminalization of all of these citizens for the heinous crimes of sitting on the beach or, stepping off of the sidewalk or being in your yard, turning innocent citizens who are law abiding into criminals, which of course has an impact on your ability to travel internationally, to get employed. That stuff all needs to be set aside. And I certainly hope that is a result of this.
Yeah, so to add to that, I do believe that government needs, and I mean this in the most neutral way possible, but government needs a facelift. We need to have an overhaul of mindset. We need to have people who have got the visionary power or the capability of saying, okay, fine, we've just placed ourselves in 500 billion rands worth of debt. So we have to now do something to get ourselves out of that over the next X amount of years, and do something over the next, say, 10 years that the ANC could not have done for the last 25, 26 years. So it's going to be a tremendous effort, but the focus, as you say, should be less on the minor occurrences. I mean, I think you call it misdemeanors and so forth in the States, but sitting on a beach and, walking off the sidewalk or walking past your neighbor's house too closely, that can't be the focus right now. We have got to now, as a country, decide, what do we need to do to rebuild the economy? What is the avenue we're going to take? How does South Africa become attractive again to the international community so that we can welcome investment and welcome opportunities to expand our horizons and just build.
Well, a couple of ways to start right away, I'll tell you as an international investor, is EWC must be abandoned and dropped forthwith because people aren't going to put money in. I mean, look what Zimbabwe did with their indigenization policy, which I attack as a racial policy because it wasn't simply indigenization, it was indigenization for black-only Zimbabweans. So you had to turn over 51% of your equity to a black-owned business or black Zimbabwean. Not a white Zimbabwean, not a colored, not an Indian. There aren't many Indians or coloreds, but there's plenty of, fair enough number of whites there. So that's a racial policy. You got to drop EWC because property rights are paramount. And we're going somewhere with Andre. He's taking us for a walk. I don't know where he's going there. I see a pick and pay poster on the wall there. That's interesting. It must be the kitchen.
Oh, yeah, actually it is. Yeah, I'm just going to stand by my front door so I can have a quick drag on my vape.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so EWC's got to go and then BE's got to go. BE is too corrupt, too complicated for international investors, and it really turns people off outside the country. So Cyril can run around and have his investment summits and talk about the money he's getting from people like Google and Microsoft to invest in South Africa, but that's a joke. The real investment money is being held back because we don't trust the ANC to not steal our money.
Yeah, you could not have said it. I mean, truer words were never spoken. I think that's a saying. But the thing is, as long as the ANC is in charge, BEE will never be let go unless the Constitutional Court or the High Court decides we will now try a new way of doing things and actually do it on merit. If we start running this country on merit, then it will just be so much better for the future, not only for us, but for our youth as well. The demographics between our countries are fairly different. You mentioned it yesterday in your chat that, from a African American state versus the other races, you are completely switched over to what we've got in South Africa. But that also puts a limitation in terms of what we can do and what we're allowed to do without someone going race.
Right.
And putting up that card and using it. I mean, I've been looking through the media the last couple of days, specifically with intent to find that kind of rationale. And you'll be surprised, or not surprised, but it happens so frequently. Did you say that because you're a racist? Is it because you're white? That kind of the mentality is, and as soon as that is done, you flip the script on its head, and everyone thinks, oh, let's just go back to apartheid, and let's just everyone has suffered so much. You know what? Put that aside. Humanity doesn't have a color. Okay, the economy, money is green wherever you go. Well, I mean, we've got the purple and orange and all that stuff, but effectively, money is green. So whether it's given to you by a white, black, Chinese, Korean, whatever person, the money is the same. Doing business is there to help everyone. This lockdown isn't helping anyone because, as there was earlier in the thread with hairdressers and so many other people that can't earn a living. And yes, someone did say, I think Yanni said it still, they are the breadwinners. They need to bring in the money. I'm also fortunate enough to be able to work from home during this crisis. But, if there's an emergency, I have to go in. So as the breadwinner, I need to make sure that I now limit excursions to the shop or to wherever, take every precaution. I mean, when I walk back into the house, I go take a shower because there's just that much risk involved. So, yeah.
No, the whole thing with the it's something I'm accustomed to from living all over Africa and also here in the U.S. The narrative, it's to me intellectually lazy for that default, and frankly, there's a bit of racism in just asking the question itself and making the statement, saying that to somebody. If the reason you presume that somebody says something or does something is because you think they're racist, then there's some degree of racism in your own self that you would even default to thinking that. If somebody does something that's wrong, my first assumption is they're an ass, not that they're racist. So anyway, yeah, that's. So let me ask you a quick question there, Andre. So I think you're a relatively recent subscriber on my channel. You not all that long ago. Am I correct?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and so what? How did you find the channel? What brought you to it, and why did you stay? And thanks for subscribing, by the way.
Well, firstly, I saw you on Ronaldo's thread. You were saying something there, which appealed to me, and then you greeted me in Afrikaans, and I thought to myself, "Oh, great, another Afrikaner." um, and I spoke to you, and I still asked you about it, and you said, "No, you're actually not from South Africa." No, look, I mean, I just like the content, and I like to see that there's someone outside of our country that has such a passion for its history and for its culture and for, you spent years here. So it's not often that you come across that. And when you find it, then you want to sort of latch onto it and support in any way. So I thoroughly enjoy the content. I mean, you tell me things about Namibia and Botswana, those places that I didn't know myself. Um, and I think part of the problem with that is that we as South Africans are fixated on the cocoon that's formed by the governing parties because we have to worry about our safety. We have to worry about kids going to school. We have to worry about things that, I mean, as a child, I mean, okay, that being said, that's 30 odd years ago. Um, I didn't have to have that concern. I mean, I was playing in the streets with friends. I was going to shops alone as a child, and it was safe. We can't have our children do that now. So as you know, as we've now grown up and so forth, we've got more to worry about, as opposed to. I mean, one of the things I liked doing some years ago when Google Maps came out, I was just happily walking through streets of different countries and cities and just seeing, oh, that's there and that's there, um, as a hobby. Now I just don't have time for that because I focus on okay, what's happening in Joburg, what's happening in Gauteng, and so forth. Yeah, everything changed, eh?
No, well, it's interesting. I think I've told the story on one of my streams that 20 years ago or something like that. I was at the Charles de Gaulle airport in France, waiting to fly back to Africa, and there were several South Africans there also waiting to travel, and some Americans, and they were curious about if it's safe to go to South Africa as a tourist, and so they were worried about that. And I said, well,
Yeah.
you just got to keep your spidey sense about you, the hair in the back of your neck, pay attention to where you're at, that sort of thing. You should go to South Africa, but there is crime, and you need to pay attention. This is 20 years ago, and the South Africans like, no, 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 it's easy, it's not a problem. And most of these people were from PE and Nelson Mandela Bay that were at the airport. And then they started, they were talking, the Americans, and they're talking, yeah, no. Well, my sister, when she was carjacked, and she really can't lift her arm properly now because the way they grabbed her. And see right here, this is where I was stabbed when I was at the shopping mall. And then this other,
Yeah.
I was shot here in every one of them have been victims of violent crime. My point is that under siege, you develop a mindset in which you become inured to violence, and you don't realize just how much of a cocoon you fall into. And so I think you're aware of that.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, it's for any tourist. It's a case of let's go to South Africa for a war story. Let's go there, come back, and we can tell people about we were in this dangerous area and this happened there. I mean, yeah, the perception of South Africa is also a bit misread. I mean, if you've seen any of our sort of cabinet sessions where people fall asleep and some ministers pick their nose and stuff like that, I mean, I think there was a perception at one stage. I spoke to someone. I don't know. I can't remember if it was India or one of the. They still thought we had lions walking around in the streets. I thought to myself, what kind of perception is that of the country?
Oh, okay,
But
okay,
then
Andre. To be fair, you do have kudu walking around the streets of Pretoria these days.
yeah, well, that's with. I mean, that's just with people going back into their homes. Um, yeah, but still, yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, listen. Hey, thanks for calling in. I'm going to drop the call and thank you for calling in. And I'm going to take another call. I think if Lynn is there, I think that's the same Lynn from yesterday. Let me go back to my Skype and I'll try and see if that's her. Andre, thank you
Sounds
so much
good.
for being my guest. I appreciate it. Thanks for subscribing. I hope you enjoy the channel. I will go live with a proper call-in show later today. It'll be this evening in South Africa. So you're welcome to join me then again. Okay?
Thanks for the call, eh?
No worries. Cheers.
Yes, bye bye.
Okay, that was Andre. Lynn, I'm going to try to call you, Lynn. I hope I don't catch you. If you don't want the call, then just hang up on me. But I got to get Andre off the screen there. I'm going to work a little bit faster here. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm trying to call Lynn right now. Let's see if that goes well. There's Eureka, Grant, Carol, Blues, Pixie, Joe. I saw Joe come in there. And, okay, Lynn's not coming on. Okay, that didn't work well. All right, couldn't get her. Unavailable. Okay, cool. Oh, hang on, let me delete this here. Remove. There we go. All right, so is anyone else like to call in? I thought I had someone waiting there. So volume is still, what is that? Anton, up and down. Okay, well, that's probably me doing this. Okay, all right, there we go. Cool. All right, so anybody else want to call in? I thought I had a caller right there. Andre, thank you so much for calling in. That was kind of cool. We had Yanni and Andre so far. There's Lynn. All right, okay. Lynn's calling in now, and I think I can hear the background. Are you there, Lynn?
Yes, hi.
I can't see your camera, though. Is your camera on? There you are. Okay, now let me bring you into the stream, Lynn.
Yes.
Okay. So you got cheated out of being my first ever call-in by my mistake. Sorry about that.
Not a problem.
Right. Okay. There we go.
Just going outside. The house is a bit dark.
No, that's all right. Well, that's a bit light there. Okay. There we go.
Is it better?
Yeah, no, I can see you just fine. All right. Well, welcome, Lynn. Sorry about the confusion yesterday. Thanks for playing along.
I understand. Murphy was working very hard last night.
Well, it turns out that there were at least 5 different things that I had to change and correct. The main issue stemming from one that I had switched machines and forgotten I'd put the plug in, but that was the night before you ever called in, so I fixed that in my Streamlabs. But then when Skype, I opened it, it decided to download software, and of course you can't stop it because Microsoft knows better than you and I. And so it installed the newest version of Skype, and when it did that, it changed like 4 different settings, including my speakers. And so it was no longer set to my proper speakers, but to the internal speakers on the sound card, so I wasn't getting the feed. So everybody could hear you except me. But anyway, now I can hear you. So Lynn, where are you calling in from?
I'm actually in Nottingham Road in KwaZulu-Natal.
Okay, cool. All right.
Off the beaten track. It's more on the Midlands meander. KwaZulu-Natal Midlands meander.
Okay.
Just north of Hike.
Okay. All right. It's been a while since I've been to KZN. I think I've told the story on my stream that one time I was there. I was on the beach in Durban wearing my shorts, warm, beautiful weather, hopped in the car. I stopped at Pietermaritzburg to refuel, get some petrol. The temperature had dropped. I drove up past the Drakensberg. It started to snow. And then I got to Johannesburg, went to my hotel in my shorts, and there was about 2 centimeters of snow on the ground. And people looked at me like, "Are you insane?" I'm like, "Well, I was in Durban like 8 hours ago." So, and that was the day that apparently people weren't accustomed to the snow. It was unusual. And so people in that pass that comes up from the Drakensberg to get into the Highveld were fishtailing and falling off the road. And they called out the SANDF to rescue people. And I'm like, it's just a little bit of snow. Come on.
South Africans are not geared for snow.
You are correct.
We are not geared for snow. Maybe mud, but definitely not snow.
So did you grow up in KZN, or are you from a different part of the country, or what?
Well, I actually grew up in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did say that. You tell me that. Sorry about that. Yeah.
And then when I'm going to be very blunt here, when the shit hit the fan with Mugabe, my mom and dad decided to send us down to school here in South Africa.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was a very big culture shock.
A lot of roadies say that. It was, if you don't mind me calling you a roadie, but a lot of roadies say that. They say that
It's awesome.
It really is a culture shock, coming from Rhodesia to South Africa. And not just that, I've heard other people who are, let's say Brit expats who were living across Africa, and then they go to South Africa to go to school as kids, and it's a completely different world. But even for Rhodesians, it was quite a culture shock, eh?
Well, definitely. I mean, I went from a government co-ed high school to a girls' private school in Pietermaritzburg. I'm not going to name the name. But yeah, we were locked upstairs at night.
Oh, jeez.
We had Hilton, not Hilton, College, a boys' high school just down the road.
Okay.
So yeah, we were locked upstairs. I thought I'd left them to get away from all the barricading and the razor wire and the burglar bars and mortar bars, and I got locked upstairs every night. So it was a huge shock.
No doubt. Well, there's also some different cultural things. A lot of people from outside the region don't realize that. It's interesting, even things like accents. So like when Giselle did her concert premiere on my channel, people were in the chat going, is she from Namibia? She sounds funny because her accent was different in Afrikaans. And then,
Yes.
so one of the things I thought was really interesting is that movie Blood Diamonds with Leonardo DiCaprio. Maybe you can
Yes.
give me your feedback. I thought that his voice coach, he had a vocals coach who taught him a Rhodesian accent. I thought his Rhodesian accent was really pretty close and spot on. Did you ever see that movie? Have you heard
Yes,
it?
no, I've watched it. Yes, no, I definitely agree. He got it done pretty well. He knows how can I put it? We tend to shorten our vowels. We don't, we're not like you, where everything is, or no, not you, Australia.
Yeah, Australia. They're the
You
ones
know,
that drag it out.
and- yeah, so, no, I thought he did a brilliant job. Also think he's an excellent man because he's very environmentally aware.
Yeah,
He does. Concerned about.
He's involved in a lot of charitable causes. Some of which are pretty darn. I'm sure they're all pretty good, but some of the ones I'm aware of are pretty good. When he was younger, I dismissed him because I hated that stupid Titanic movie. I mean, what's the suspense? The boat. I mean, I don't mean to ruin it for everybody watching, but the boat sinks. Okay, but then they had to make the movie worse because not only does the boat sink, but then he's an idiot. There's a raft right there, a piece of wood. He could hang on to it, but instead he just lets go and floats away and dies. That kind of made me mad. And then the ultimate insult with the movie is she throws the blue sapphire back into the depths of the ocean. I wanted to smack that old lady.
I love the movie. So yeah, I understand from a man's point of view why it doesn't make any common sense why things were done the way they were done. It's like our governments.
Yeah, well, there you go.
They've got no common sense whatsoever.
No, there's definitely
None
a shortage.
whatsoever.
Definitely a shortage of that in Lutuli House and in the halls of the Parliament Building in Cape Town and at Government House in Pretoria. But yeah, so when was the last time you lived in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe?
I left there in 1982
Mm-hmm.
and came down to school here, and then my mom and dad immigrated in 1983.
Okay.
So
So your parents left when they started killing people in Matabeleland then, at that time.
it was more a case of let's just pack everything up that's older than 7 years and let's go.
Oh no, I wasn't saying
We
that
had
was not the reason they left. I'm just saying it was around that time. That's when that started happening. That nonsense. Yeah. So
Yeah. Can you imagine a Peugeot? I mean, this is a very old car now. A Peugeot 404 station wagon,
Mhm.
packed to the roof, with 2 fox terriers.
No, I can't imagine
See
it.
how-
I remember seeing images of those who could get out of the Congo in the south, in Katanga, who fled into Zambia back during the Belgian Congo crisis. A video footage of that, and their cars just, full of things stacked high, things tied on it. Those who could get out, just crazy stuff. So, what do you miss from your childhood or about Rhodesia?
The sense, I'm going to stop you. I miss the sense of community. I've worked in a retirement village in Howick, and this is now 2017. I left. I hadn't found that sense of community until we moved into the house that we own in Howick. You're going to laugh. Our next door neighbor was ex-Rhodesian, so we had an interleading gate to the next neighbor. And then from them to their neighbor, we had an interleading gate. So the kids, we would visit, the dogs would visit, the cats would visit, We had an absolute ball. But sadly, the people who owned those houses have passed away. Amber Glen was the only place that I actually found a sense of community, which is very sad.
That is really sad.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
I'm finding living in Nottingham Road. I mean, moving from Howick's like a hub. It's the retirement town of South Africa with all the amber villages. The different retirement villages.
Uh-huh.
And what's brilliant about Nottingham Road is everybody has a smile. Well, you can't see because they got masks on, but everybody got their eyes when they see you, so you're getting a smile. But yeah, no, it's very sad. Neighbors don't give a damn about neighbors. It's very sad, Chris. Very sad.
And when that happens, that's when the fabric of society begins to fray and break, is when you don't have those ties. You know, it's interesting. So yesterday I was driving to Carlisle to collect my mail from the post office, you know, because they haven't burned our post office here, but to collect the mail from the post office, and also go to the home place to get some soil for my lawn out and about during lockdown. And I passed cars on the road, and I just did what's second nature to me. I waved to people. That's just something I grew up with, you know. I mean, there weren't that many people on the road. You see people, whether you know them or not, you just wave to them. And one of the challenges for me traveling around the world, especially in Africa, is I'm the kind of person, I'll walk past somebody, I'll greet people. And I still do that. Now, I'm not as often doing it in big cities like I used to be, but it used to be like I look like a country oak out there going, hey, how are you? Good day, you know. But when you start to lose that sense of community and that tie, then people become the other. Unintentionally, they become the other, and that becomes a problem. Sounds like that's your experience.
Yes, it's very sad. I mean, look, I've got some very good friends. Don't get me wrong. I've got some very good friends. I mean, my sister lives next door to me. So, yeah, Nottingham Road. But again, like walking into a shopping center. Well, I don't do that anymore. But walking into we've got a local spa. And everybody, as you walk around the shop, everybody greets you and says hi, you know. And in Howick, we've got quite a few shopping centres, and they're not keen. They're not keen to greet. They're not keen to say hello. And I just find it very sad. You know, today, life is hard enough without that kind of care. I don't know whether you agree with me. I'm I'm a very caring person, so it's my makeup. I mean, as I've said to you online, I grew up in the Rhodesian Bush War, and it was a hell of a shock having to get into a convoy and have an armored patrol vehicle with I don't want to say an AK, but a machine gun driving backwards and forwards to protect us. Mm-hmm. So it's sad. It's sad that neighbours don't care about neighbours. It's, again, things can go terribly wrong. Having worked in a retirement village, things can go terribly wrong for people.
Yeah.
They can fall and break a hip or whatever the case may be. And people are within shouting distance, but they don't call them. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly what you're saying. It's just this is sad, I think, statement on the human condition. And speaking of sad things, I noticed in the chat here that a couple people have talked about. Now, I should mention this before going further, is that I served 36 years in the Army. I was in combat multiple times. I have a large extended family with my mother was one of 11 children. My father's one of 6. I have more cousins in the state of Maryland probably than half the population of Maryland. I'm embellishing a little bit, but my point is I have a large extended family. I don't know a single family member that's ever been murdered. I don't know, I only know a few who've suffered violent crime. My point is it's not a norm. And I've seen 2 sad comments in here. One from Eureka talking about losing folks, including her husband who was murdered in Cape Town. My sympathies for you, Eureka. And then also, I think it was your boss mentioned, lost 3 brothers, a niece, and a sister-in-law due to farm murders. That's and of course you can harken back to that in the Bush War, like you talked about. You had to have armed escort to get about because they were attacking farms, and it's really tragic, isn't it?
I just think it's very tragic, and having grown up and come from that, and seeing, what South Africa was when I came to school here. And now, okay, look, I'm not on the race card. I mean, I love everybody, whether they're black, white, pink, or purple. So race isn't an issue for me. It's the injustice, whether it's the AWB or I can't even remember the name of the last government. I'm sorry. You'll remind me. Or the ANC. It doesn't matter.
Oh, the National Party, the NP.
Yeah. I mean, we can all say, oh, but the National Party showed the ANC how to do what they are now doing. You know what I'm saying? But there's no point in going there.
Yeah, I know.
At the end of the day, our country and all the people in it, whether they're black or white, coloured, Indian, we are all suffering.
And you're all South Africans. People need to get
Yes.
beyond that nonsense. You're South Africans. Whether you come from Alexandria, you come from KZN, the Northern Cape, Kimberley,
Exactly.
Cape Town, you're all South Africans. Yep. So
Yes,
I can
regard-
relate to the point that you like purple people. I love purple. It's my favorite color. So there you go.
You can see I'm wearing it.
And I think that Reese also likes purple, Reese Vandeveld. So anyway, just for a lighter moment
Cool.
there. And on another lighter moment there, Yanni in the chat said that he finds that greeting people in public is a South African thing. You know, Yanni, I would agree with that. And it's not Boers, it's not Afrikaners, it's not English speakers, it's not Portuguese, it's not Venda, it's not Xhosa, it's not Zulu. My experience in South Africa is that depending on where you're at, not everybody, but lots of people from all groups are exactly like Americans in that respect. They're personable. You see them on the street, they say hello, they greet you, or at least acknowledge you. And that in a normal set of circumstances, whether I've been in a township or I've been, in Northwest on a farm or in Zeerust or somewhere like that. My experience is that oftentimes most South Africans can be engaging like that. It's in the big cities where you lose that sort of thing because of the
Yes,
volume of people.
I
But
agree with you.
yeah, but I think that I would agree with Yanni that that's in the nature of South Africans to be kind of like Americans. Yet another common cultural thing that Americans and South Africans share, which a lot of people just aren't aware of.
Yeah, well, that's good to know.
Yep.
Because, at the end of the day, I mean, look, the only place I've been outside of Africa is Australia. That was it was just before I came down to school here in South Africa.
So you were a kid when you went there?
Yes, I was 15.
Crikey, you went to Australia when you were 15 years old.
Australia, yeah. And oh my goodness, my cousin scared the daylights out of me with the language.
Did the dingo eat your baby?
And it was a problem to try and understand the car park and what, and
It's like they speak
No.
a different language.
yeah. Well, my mum and dad were looking at immigrating there. Thank God we didn't go there. Thank God. Not that I don't like Australians. There's one specific one that I don't like, poor Ronaldo. But yeah, no, I mean, everybody who's left Africa, and I'm sure you can relate to this, have said they miss it. They miss the smells, the freedom, the scenery, just the beauty of it. I mean, my sister went to England for a couple of years, and when she landed, the first thing she said to my mom was, "Oh, can you smell the grass?"
No,
Sounds crazy.
it doesn't sound crazy at all. I mean, I have very distinct memories of each country, honestly, and I lived in 8 countries in Africa. Each country I lived in, very distinct memories of the sense of smell and a sound and the environment in the places that I lived at, whether it was Botswana or it was Liberia or it was Uganda. Yeah. Every one of them, and when I go back to that place, you feel it and you sense it right away. So, it's, I like Giselle's song where she sings about Afrikaans. She says, Die Taal is in ons bloed. I love that because Africa, for anybody who's lived there and respects the continent in any degree, it's kind of in your soil. It's kind of, the soil is in you.
Yeah, but it's in your blood.
Yeah,
it's definitely blood, and, I just feel it's very sad because the COVID-19 lockdown started off all so positively, where everybody was caring and helpful and all of that. And then obviously, people saw exactly what was going on, thanks to being informed by people like Ramon and you and Ronaldo. And I don't know. I don't know. I can't believe that people can treat people the way they treat people. I mean, the poor people that have been arrested.
Yeah.
For no reason.
But
Walking on the bloody beach. It's bloody ridiculous.
The thing that really set me off, that really, really, truly irritated me is 2 things. One, the media's collusion with the government in not covering what's happening to all South Africans. So Collins Xhosa is not the only black South African that's died in police or military custody as a result of this lockdown. But where are their stories in the news? They're not being covered. So they they intentionally make it look like only disgruntled white people are angry because they can't sit on a beach by telling those stories up, which are genuine stories and sad, but they're not telling the whole story. But the other thing that truly disturbed me in South Africa context was the criminalization of people with charitable donations, preventing people who were providing food.
That were distributing the food parcels. I mean,
and arresting them.
That just, yeah.
Yeah, that's just sad.
Anyway.
Yeah, anyway.
Back on to positive things. So yeah, I'm hoping that we get somewhere with this court case. Holding the thumbs and praying like mad that it's not because I smoke cigarettes. I just think, everything has a ripple effect. Whether it's the tobacco industry, whether it's the personal care industry, it affects everybody regardless.
Well, Lynn, my position on cigarettes is pretty well known. I don't care for them. I hate them, but I don't have anything against people who smoke. But I have serious issues with the tobacco ban in South Africa because it's just utter nonsense. It's not based on science. There's studies now talking about how nicotine actually is beneficial. I'm not encouraging people to smoke, and I don't know that that's the final science on it. There's never final science. But my point is that this is just capricious, unreasonable behavior, and I think that all the conspiracy theories about why it's happening, you have to start to wonder if they're true.
Well, I believe there is definitely a conspiracy. Being a smoker, but again, it is what it is, and we've just got to get on. I mean, I'm now investigating vaping because now cigarettes, a box of 20 cigarettes costs here in Nottingham Road anything between 85 and 145 Rand a box.
Wow.
And I just cannot afford that. I mean, now to try and figure out vaping when you've got no clue and there's just so much information. Mm-hmm. I mean, over the weekend, all I did was research it. So Can I use this platform, please, to talk to smokers? Please. Smoking is very, very bad for you, as we've been told 1,000,000 times. Mm-hmm. But the nicotine isn't the issue. The nicotine is what we're addicted to. It's like caffeine, okay? The chemicals that they put into cigarettes. I watched a documentary by British American Tobacco. The chemicals, formaldehyde, sulfurs, cyanide in cigarettes, guys, in cigarettes.
And those
Get off them.
Those are the ones that are approved for sale. They're not even illicit.
But even those are legal. But now you must understand the chemicals in the cheap shit that we are being provided with at the moment, thanks to Dlamini Zuma, they're worse. They've got more chemicals. So, come on, guys, vape. I know vaping isn't the best story either, but let me tell you, the damage that the combustion does with a cigarette is absolutely nothing compared to vaping. But again, I can't find anybody in KwaZulu-Natal that stocks the bloody things. I've been searching for a bloody shop. I can't find a bloody shop.
Huh.
And Pietermaritzburg is right here.
Well, Lynn, let me shift the gears a little bit since you've gone on your anti-smoking crusade, which is fine by my. But no. But let me just switch gears real quick before we conclude your call. How did you come across my channel, and why did you subscribe? And by the way, thank you for subscribing.
Well, you might not like this, but Ronaldo said I must come to your channel.
Why wouldn't I like that?
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying, Ronaldo said, go and see Chris and do this and do that and subscribe and like. And so between you, Ramon, and Ronaldo, I don't watch TV. I just watch you guys because you say things straight. You don't beat around the bush. There are no gray areas. You are very, very clear. And what's brilliant about you, Chris, is, yes, you've been in Africa, you know how Africa works. The majority of the world does not understand how Africa works. There's American time in these African times. And, to try and explain that to, for example, somebody who hasn't been to Africa, look, apartheid was diabolical. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But understand now, today, somewhere in South Africa, there's a riot. Why is there a riot? Because certain people feel the lack of having a huge TV or a kettle or whatever the case may be. And I just think that looting and rioting, look, you can protest peacefully. You don't have to destroy stuff. I mean, like school, like the technical colleges and schools that they've burned down. I mean, my dad was constantly rebuilding the school we had in Mpuma because it continually got burnt down.
It seems pretty short-sighted to complain about the lack of education when you burn your school down every other year.
But that's my point exactly. So, Americans mustn't go by what they hear online. They need to investigate it, look at it. Don't just take one, article online and go with it. Investigate, find out. Don't be so quick to judge. Don't. Because there are a lot of South Africans who relate to Americans with what you guys are going through. And it's like a mirror.
Yeah.
So you guys are a first world country. What are we? Rubbish.
Well, it certainly doesn't feel like a first world country in some metropolitan areas here in the U.S. right now, but hopefully that'll get under control. Well, listen, Lynn, it's been fantastic having you in as a call, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
It's a pleasure.
And thanks for being a subscriber. I really appreciate it. As I tell people on my channel, share this with your family, share it with your friends, share it with your foes. If there's people you don't like, tell them about my channel. You can help trigger them.
I wish I could show you the view that I have. I'm going to try and turn the camera around. I don't know how to.
Where's the African country with foresight? Bart Britt says while you're doing that. Mauritius, Cape Verde, Botswana. Yeah, those are countries with vision and foresight who plan ahead with differing outcomes. But that's 3 examples, all small countries. Rwanda is another one. Is it going to work or no? Oh, now I can't hear you. All right. Well, I'll be on later on, Lynn. I'm going to go ahead and drop you off now, Lynn. Okay. It doesn't seem to be coming up, and I've lost the sound. So I'm going to drop Lynn off. Thank you so much for calling in, Lynn. I appreciate it. And I'll be back on this evening in South Africa. So if you want to call in, then you can do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and drop Lynn off. Thank you, Lynn. And then I'm also going to open it up for one more call. If anybody wants to call in, we'll do one more test call here. And then I will end this at the top of the hour. So we've got about 11 minutes here if somebody wants to call in real quick and share some things. What do we got going on in chat here? Hey, by the way, folks, thanks for tuning in. This is just a test session to see if I've got it worked out. And I'm not going to hold my breath because I'll just turn blue. But I think that I might have... Hey, Joe Emilio, are you still there? Is Joe Emilio still around, or did he take off on me? Let me see if Joe's still there. What did you think was very funny, Christoph? So I sent Joe a message to see if he's still around. Well, so far I've had Yanni, I've had Andre, and had Lynn call in, and it sounds like all the calls, people were able to hear them. Appreciate it. Christoph is asking, did I see the Namibian ad I shared in your comments of a previous video? Christoph, I don't recall. My apologies for there. And good to see you here. I was wondering if you've been busy doing something. Yeah, Grant has explained for Blues Pixie that Lynn was talking about the gentleman in Australia. So anyway, anyone want to call in? I feel like I'm begging for someone to call in. Anyway, well, if no one calls in, that's fine. I'm going to run for about 10 more minutes, 9 more minutes now, and then I'll wrap it up. I will be on later today. Oh, the volume drops when I'm not on a call. That is odd. Maybe because Skype. Let me close Skype and see if that improves it. Okay, folks, so I'm going to close Skype and see if my sound improves. Okay, Skype is gone now. Did that make a difference? Maybe Skype was taking my voice. I don't know. That could be the problem. But I've dropped Skype off now, so now nobody can call me in, call in. But let me go ahead. The odd thing is that the microphone was working fine yesterday. We didn't have any trouble with the volume. But again, I made a couple changes to make sure that Skype was in the right place. Okay, I've reopened Skype, so strange how the call volume works better. But anyway, so back to the chat here. Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I will be on again today at 9:35 in South Africa and in Botswana, 8:35 in Namibia, London, and Abuja, and that will be at 3:35 here in Eastern Standard Time to do a proper call-in show. So if you want to call in, you'll be able to check and find my Skype name at the bottom, WMW Chris. That will be in the notes for that, so you know to call in. Christo says exactly the same. So let me lean down here into the microphone. Maybe this will be better. Is that helping? Yeah, I don't know why that's so quiet today, but it is strange. Grant says it went very well for first time. Well, thank you, Grant. Yeah, I think it went pretty good, other than for some strange reason the mic is not picking me up as well as it normally does. Was a company that did an ad for Namibia, but in Trump kind of... No, I didn't see the Christoph. Where did you send it to me at? And however you sent it to me, send it again. My apologies for missing that. Yeah, so folks, yeah, so in South Africa today, a little bit of good news with the High Court declaring that the African National Congress's lockdown measures under Level 4 and Level 3 were unconstitutional. They violated South Africa's constitution. Who knew? Imagine that. Gosh, did anyone tell us that? Yeah, most people can walk and chew gum at the same time, said that it was government overreach, government overstep. I'd like to see someone take some of our state governors to court here in the U.S. and challenge them. Now, our laws are a bit different, and the controls that state governors and local mayors have is a bit different, so we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, Ronaldo's warming up his voice already. Yeah, Anton, yeah, I'll be dropping off so you guys who are Ronaldo fans can go to that. So, anyway, yeah, but, yeah, so the court has made its ruling. And the lockdown measures are unlawful, unconstitutional. Not just unlawful, but unconstitutional. Your basic document is your Constitution, and when governments violate that, which we've seen here in the United States, the Obama administration became serial offenders of violating the U.S. Constitution, according to documents recently released. We saw the transcripts of the telephone calls between Lieutenant General Michael Flynn and the Russian ambassador Kislyak when Flynn was the designee national security advisor. And what we see here is sour grapes from bitter Obama officials who sought to destroy the reputation of an honorable man, one whom I have personal differences with, not on a personal level, but professional differences because of his conduct elsewhere. But nonetheless, what happened to General Flynn was reprehensible. It was government abuse of a private citizen, and it is shameful what happened. And with the transcripts coming out, the basis for getting a warrant from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Activity Court, the FISA court, based on what we saw, was pure nonsense, and people should be brought to book for what happened there. So this sort of thing, this abuse can be done by governments all over the world, even in the world's largest, well, not largest, technically India is the largest democracy, but in the world's wealthiest and most prosperous democracy, we see governmental abuses against private citizens. So hang in there, folks, in South Africa and in Africa. You're not alone in fighting for your civil liberties. It's also happening elsewhere. And those of us who are true patriots push back against it. So for those of you who see my opening closing credits, you'll know that that stuff is courtesy of Talon Bezuidenhout, did I get that right? Who runs a company called Impulse Graphics, and that's his little flyer right there. So if you want to check it out, you need some help with graphics design, you can check out Talon's company. It's pretty cool. They do some great work, and if you watch the animations I've been putting in my videos, the beginning and the end of them lately, you'll see the work that Talon does. Pretty cool stuff. So I hope that you guys take advantage of that. If you need his services, it's there. You can check it out. And along that line, also another business that I have a relationship with because they did a great work for me on my caricature is Shink Art. Now I'm messing up here. Rookie mistake again. Gotta really get better at this. There you go. Shink Art is based in Bloemfontein. They do caricatures. You can see some of the characters they do there, including myself with my Springboks flag. Boka, boka, boka. Yes, indeed. Anyway, so yeah, they do characters. They also have a photography studio in which they do weddings and they do family portraits, that sort of thing. But they're based in Bloemfontein. But you don't need to be in Bloemfontein to get yourself a caricature. You can simply contact them at shink.co.za. and tell them you're interested in getting a caricature. Send them a few photographs so they have something to work with. They'll do up a pencil sketch so you can look at it. They'll send you that draft and say, is this what you want? Is it going to meet your need? and then they'll finish up the artwork on it and then send you the digital image like that one right there of me for the Springboks at the Rugby World Cup in 2019. So that is Shink Art, shink.co.za, based in Bloemfontein. So feel free to check them out. You know, it's a good idea to get a gift for someone you care about, a birthday gift or some special event. Characters are always kind of neat, and they do a fantastic job. So there you go. Now let me get myself back on the screen since I took myself off. There we go. All right. So let me catch up on the chat real quick before we go. We're going to shut off here in a second. Yeah, I think Sean is right. My headset mic. So what I'm going to do is I'll pull out another, because this does have a microphone on it. I will pull out I have a headset that's just earphones, and I'll change that for the thing this afternoon, and we'll see if that fixes the problem with the sound that we're having today. So that's probably what happened. Good point there, Sean. Appreciate it. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Definitely no Afrikaans. I just sent you a link on LinkedIn of someone speaking about the Magna Carta and how it ties into all democracies worth watching. Okay. Lynn, I'll send you Lezan's, it's Lezan Els, and then she's got Donaze, something like that, Vandazal or something like that. I'll look for it and try to send it to you. I've got you Skype. I can send it that way by text. Okay. All right. The world seems to be, the world is losing its mind. It is absolutely crazy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got just a couple minutes before the top of the hour. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to close. You're going to see the Giselle video once again. I love this thing. I hope that you enjoy it as well. I'm going to close out, and I thank you all for tuning into this test, not of the emergency broadcast system. Of course, Americans know what that is. They always put that on our screen at night. It's a test of the emergency broadcast system. But no, a test of my setup in my studio to make sure that we could actually complete Skype calls. And thank my callers who called in. That was Yanni van der Veld, and also we had Andre Prince called in, and then also Linda Rasmus. Thank you all so much for participating. Really appreciate it. I will be on live later today for a stream at 3:30 p.m., 3:35 Eastern Standard Time. That'll be a proper call-in show. So if you want to call in, my Skype name will be there. Send me a Skype message. Don't call because someone else might be on the line. And then once I hang up one call, I'll be able to take the next call. So that'll be at 3:35 Eastern Standard Time, 9:35 or 21:35 for those of you with military experience like myself. All right, I'm going to close out with Giselle. Thank you all for tuning in. It's really great for you all to help me out and get this thing working. And thank you for your patience with the amateur hour, as some of it was. I'm going to wrap up Giselle here, and here we go. God bless and have a good afternoon and evening wherever you find yourself. And here we go.